Bonjour tout le monde et bienvenue sur cette vidéo pour apprendre à conjuguer le verbe être en français. Hi everyone and welcome to this video to learn how to conjugate to be in French. And without further ado, let's start with the first form, which is the affirmative form. So as you can see, you can say je suis, tu es, il est, elle est, nous sommes, vous êtes, ils sont, elles sont. Very easy, right? So now let's talk about a few details, especially when it comes to pronouncing in French. So for example, you normally say je suis, but you can hear that very often when you are in France, for example, je suis, or even suis. Yeah, it's totally different, but suis is very often used in by French speakers. And for the second form, tu es, you can hear very often te instead of tu es. When it comes to il est or elle est, there's a major difference with English, since in English you've got the it is, but in French you don't have it. It's everything is either masculine or feminine, so there's no sort of a neutral form like it's either il or elle. Then when it comes to pronouncing nous sommes, it's actually quite different from the way you write it and how you say it. So for example, nous is like the first form, and then sommes. It's like you don't even pronounce the E, the final E and the final S. Pretty much the same with vous êtes. So you just pronounce vous and then zet, like with a Z. And you don't pronounce the final ES. And finally, ils sont, elles sont. In this case, it's more like ils sont and you don't pronounce the T. But most of the time, native speakers would say ils sont. It sounds pretty odd, but it's usually the way it sounds. So ils sont instead of ils sont. But of course, you should prefer ils sont. And then elles sont, once again, you don't pronounce the T, the final T of sont. Let's now move on to the negative form. In this case, the negative form in French is expressed through ne pas. And pas, you write it with a final S, but you don't pronounce it. Once again, it's like a very silent letter. You have to write it, but you don't say it out loud. So it's pas, ne pas. And then it goes this way. Je ne suis pas, tu n'es pas, il n'est pas, elle n'est pas, nous ne sommes pas, vous n'êtes pas, ils ne sont pas, elles ne sont pas. Once again, pretty easy so far, right? But I want to show you a different form that you could either read and pretty much often hear. So for example, you say je ne suis pas, but you can also say and hear suis pas, or even suis pas. Suis pas, once again, is like suis, very common. You can hear it everywhere. Many people say it out loud. But once again, if you want to learn proper French, you should say je ne suis pas. And then tu n'es pas, you can hear very often t'es pas. And it goes the same way for the others. Il n'est pas, il est pas. Elle n'est pas, elle est pas. Nous ne sommes pas, nous ne sommes pas. So you keep shortening everything when you speak. So once again, it's very different when you write it from in comparison with how you say it out loud. Vous n'êtes pas, you can even say vous êtes pas. Ils ne sont pas, ils ne sont pas. Elles ne sont pas, elles ne sont pas. So once again, everything got shortened. It's a bit like in English when you say you are not, and then you can say you aren't. Or I'm not, I'm not. So you somehow shorten everything when you say it out loud. You can also do it when you write it in English, but not in French. So for example, if you want to write je ne suis pas, you have to write it the proper way. But when you speak, you can say je ne suis pas, or je suis pas. Okay, so now let's learn how to build questions in French with the verb to be. So it goes this way. Suis-je? Es-tu? est-il, est-elle, sommes-nous, êtes-vous, sont-ils, sont-elles. So pretty much like in English, you've got to finish your question with a like higher pitch or a higher intonation. So don't forget to do that in French as well. And then when it comes to the pronunciation, it's pretty much the same as how we learned with the affirmative form. So for example, for the pronunciation is suis-je, so you don't pronounce the final E. You can say es-tu content, but you can also say t'es content, or est-il content becomes il est content, est-elle contente, elle est contente. So it's pretty much the same all the time. But once again, when you want to write a proper question in French, you should prefer the form on the left. But when you talk to someone, I think it sounds more natural if you use the forms on the right side. And then for the rest, it's pretty much easy. Sommes-nous, êtes-vous, sont-ils, sont-elles. Once again, don't forget to silence the final E, the final S. You don't need them. I know it sounds a bit odd to write many letters and don't pronounce like a third of them, but yeah, that's French. I'm sorry, guys. Let's now move to a more complex way of using to be in French, which is building questions, creating questions, and introducing the negative form as well. So yes, it sounds, even in English, it can be quite hard for learners, I would say, for beginners, and it's pretty much the same nightmare in French. So for example, you would say ne suis-je pas, n'es-tu pas, n'est-il pas, n'est-elle pas, ne sommes-nous pas, n'êtes-vous pas, ne sont-ils pas, ne sont-elles pas. See? So here it becomes a bit tricky because, for example, in English, you can somehow shorten the form. So you could say, instead of is she not, you shorten everything and you say isn't she. Way easier in English. But in French, it doesn't work this way. So you have to keep the complete form. However, you can follow the same pattern as the previous slide that we saw together. Is instead of saying ne suis-je pas, you can say je suis pas. N'es-tu pas contente? And then you can say t'es pas contente. N'est-il pas content? You can say il est pas content. N'est-elle pas contente? Then once again you can say elle n'est pas contente. See, in this case, I would say that French is pretty flexible. So I would say when it comes to writing, yes, use the proper versions. But of course, when you are talking to someone, you feel free to use any form that you want, as long as it's, of course, grammatically correct. And finally, the last thing that I would like to share with you is it's about the short answers. So it's way easier in French because we don't have any short answers. So in English, you would say, are you happy? Yes, I am. No, I'm not. But in French, you would say, es-tu content or contente? If you are a woman, of course. You can simply answer yes and then no. So that might be the reason why so many French speakers just answer yes and no when they talk in English. So do you want some tea? They just say yes or no. They don't say yes, I do, or no, I don't. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that it helped you. But please don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any questions related to this topic or to another that I could discuss in another video as well, please comment, write something, share your opinion in the comment section below. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.